Hello, welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of Punishment 2, Return of Amanda, by Olivia Julius. I was the first to wake up on Monday morning. The room was still shrouded in the soft glow of dawn, and the quietness hung in the air like a bittersweet melody. As I stirred from my slumber, the reality of the last day in Missouri settled upon me. The tranquil room, once filled with laughter and camaraderie, now held the weight of impending goodbyes. I glanced at Brittany and Emily, still peacefully asleep on the bed, their features softened by the morning light. I watched them sleep for a moment in the bed. I didn't want this trip to be over. Gently, I rose from the bed, careful not to disturb the slumbering forms of my friends. The silence enveloped me as I moved to the window, pulling back the curtain to reveal the emerging hues of the sunrise. The vibrant colors painted the sky, mirroring the spectrum of emotions that filled my heart. As I stood by the window, the tranquility of the morning allowed me a moment of introspection. The journey to Missouri had been unexpected, a detour from the ordinary path of my life. Yet, in this detour, I found friendship, understanding, and acceptance. The creak of the door caught my attention, and I turned to see Rebecca poking her head into the room. She motioned for me to follow her, and quietly I did. I followed her downstairs to the kitchen, where there sat a large box on the kitchen counter. The box's top was open, and inside I could see clothes. "What's this?" I asked. "Remember when I grabbed some clothes for Ethan to wear last night after your bet with him?" she asked. "Yeah," I said a little impatiently. "Well, while I was grabbing the clothes, I also found some of my old clothes from when I was your age," Rebecca said. She then slid the box over to me. "These are for you." I grabbed the first thing in the box and pulled it out to find a pink sleeveless sundress. "Why?" I asked curiously. "Look at 'em. I know you don't want to be Amanda forever, but I also know that you like to wear girl clothes." Rebecca's words hung in the air, and for a moment, a mix of surprise and vulnerability crossed my face. She had seen through the layers I had carefully constructed, recognizing a part of me that I hadn't fully acknowledged. The pink sleeveless sundress in my hand suddenly held a deeper significance. "I thought you might appreciate having something that you can wear when or if you decide to become Amanda, even if it's just for a little bit," Rebecca explained, her eyes filled with understanding. "It's okay to embrace different sides of yourself, Adam. You don't have to fit into anyone else's expectations." I looked in the box and saw the types of outfits that were folded inside. All of them were diffidently for a girl. "I always kept a week's worth of clothes in this cabin in case of emergencies," Rebecca said. "It's not much, but it's enough that you can enjoy being a girl in private." "Thank you," I whispered, not sure what else to say. As I held the pink sleeveless sundress in my hands, a rush of emotions cascaded through me. Rebecca's gesture was both unexpected and touching, a silent acknowledgement of the complexities I grappled with. In that moment, the room felt like a cocoon of understanding, shielding me from the judgments that often lurked beyond its walls. Rebecca's eyes held a kindness that went beyond mere acceptance. It was a recognition of the facets of identity that transcended societal norms. With a grateful smile, I nodded at her, unable to find words that could adequately convey the depth of my appreciation. Hearing Brittany and Emily start to wake up, I quickly excused myself from the kitchen and headed up to the room. Once I got up there, Brittany told me that she had my outfit picked out for the day. "Sorry, Mom says that I have to wear my own clothes today," I lied. I left the room before Brittany or Emily could say anything and headed into the bathroom to change my clothes. I got out of the blue nightgown and quickly put on the sundress. I then slid on a pair of sandals that were also in the box. The soft fabric of the pink sleeveless sundress draped around me, and I couldn't help but marvel at the transformation it brought. The gentle rustle of the material whispered a tale of newfound acceptance and the freedom to explore different facets of myself. The sundress clung to me like a second skin, and as I twirled in front of the mirror, a sense of liberation washed over me. As I looked at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I saw not just Adam, but a version of me that embraced Amanda for now. Once Brittany and Emily were done getting dressed, I walked into the room, and both looked up and saw me wearing my dress. "I thought you had to wear your clothes," Brittany said. "I am," I replied. "Rebecca gave this to me." I blushed slightly, grateful for their positive reactions. The pink sundress became more than just a piece of clothing, it symbolized acceptance, understanding, and the freedom to express myself in a way that felt authentic. As we headed downstairs, the sun had fully risen, casting a warm glow over the cabin. The aroma of breakfast wafted through the air, and I could hear Rebecca and Ethan in the kitchen, preparing a meal to mark the end of our memorable weekend. The morning passed with a mix of laughter, shared stories, and the enjoyment of a delicious breakfast. The atmosphere in the cabin was filled with a sense of camaraderie, a final celebration of the bonds formed during our time together. As the clock ticked away, the reality of saying goodbye loomed over us. Rebecca, sensing the bittersweet moment, suggested taking a group photo to capture the memories of the weekend. We gathered in front of the cabin, the sunlight framing our faces, and Rebecca snapped the picture that would forever encapsulate the essence of our time together. Rebecca drove us back to Aunt Georgia's house in her Jeep. The ride back to Aunt Georgia's house was filled with a mix of subdued conversations and reflective glances out of the Jeep's windows. The scenery passed by in a blur, much like the whirlwind of emotions that enveloped me after the meaningful gesture from Rebecca. Upon reaching Aunt Georgia's house, reality set in as we unloaded our belongings from the Jeep. The weekend in Missouri, with its unexpected twists and turns, had come to an end. After saying goodbye to Aunt Georgia, Brittany, Emily, and I got into the back seat of the car and Dad slowly drove us away from the farm. As we drove away from Aunt Georgia's farm, the landscape outside the car window changed gradually from farmland to the small town. Dad surprised us when he didn't follow Emily's instructions about how to get to her house. Instead he pulled into a small parking lot next to a building that says Galloway Medical Center. "What are we doing here?" I asked, looking at the building. "This is where Ria's mom works," Emily said, sighing loudly. My heart dropped in my chest. Maybe wearing a dress today was a bad idea. Was Dr. Galloway just as bad as her daughter? We walked up to the entrance and for a second, I felt relief seeing a note on the door saying that the doctor's office was closed the day after Easter. But to my dismay Dad opened the door anyways to find that it was unlocked. As I walk into the waiting room, I'm greeted by a mix of subdued lighting and the soft hum of an air conditioning system. The walls are painted in calming tones of beige and adorned with generic artwork, attempting to create a soothing atmosphere. The reception desk stands prominently at one end. Since the office is closed, no one sat behind the desk to greet us. A row of chairs lines the perimeter of the room, each one upholstered in a patterned fabric that probably hasn't changed in years. The air carries a faint scent of disinfectant, a reminder of the constant efforts to maintain cleanliness. A small table near the entrance holds a pile of dog-eared magazines, and a few informational brochures about common health concerns are neatly arranged on a stand. "Okay, this is creepy," Brittany whispered. "I'm used to it," Emily said, shrugging. "Ria and I used to come here after school all the time and wait till her mom got off of work." "Relax you three," Dad said. "Dr. Galloway knows we are here, and she'll be out here in a moment. So go ahead and take a seat." The three of us exchanged glances, hesitated for a moment, and then settled into the chairs. The waiting room seemed to amplify the uncertainty that hung in the air. As we sat there, I couldn't help but wonder about the upcoming encounter with Dr. Galloway. The memories of Ria's hostile behavior before and after the Easter Princess contest still lingered, and I couldn't shake the fear that her mother might share the same disdain. Minutes passed like an eternity before the door to the back offices creaked open, and Dr. Galloway emerged. She looked like an older Ria, She had her blonde hair tied up in a bun behind her head, and even though the clinic was closed, she still wore a white doctor's coat, and her expression shifted from surprise to a warm smile upon seeing us. "Amanda?" She greeted me, extending her hand. "I'm Dr. Galloway. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Sorry to keep you waiting. Friday a raccoon found its way into my clinic, and even though animal control got it out of here, that raccoon did leave a hell of a mess in the employee break room." I heard Brittany giggling behind me. The tension in the room dissipated as Dr. Galloway's friendly demeanor put me at ease. Dr. Galloway then looked past me and at Emily. "Emily, it's been so long since I've seen you, how are you? And how are your mothers doing?" Emily just said a small hello and told Dr. Galloway that her two mothers were doing good. "Excellent!" Dr. Galloway said, clapping her hands. "Anyways, if you three would come with us." "Three?" I asked. I looked behind me to see both Mom and Dad were sitting down in the waiting room chairs. "We'll be here when you get done," Dad said. "This is something you three need to do with Dr. Galloway." I wanted to ask why, but Dr. Galloway just gently steered us through the door. As we followed Dr. Galloway through the door, the clinical atmosphere of the medical center enveloped us. There was 2 hallways, and Dr. Galloway led us down the hallway that goes straight ahead. "This is the only doctor's office in the county," Dr. Galloway started. "When I became a doctor, I got job offers from hospitals and medical offices all over the state, but I decided to stay here. I practically took a pay cut by coming here. But I felt that being here where I grew up is more useful for me." Dr. Galloway stopped in front of a door that is labeled as the staff break room. "At this clinic I am tasked with anything from helping kids with runny noses to putting stitches on an old man's hand. Also, I am the only doctor in the area that does transgender care." Both Brittany and Emily both looked at me. "I'm not trans," I said. "I'm happy being a boy." "I know," Dr. Galloway said. "Emily, I know that you are transgender. Forgive me, but your mother Emma told me in secrecy shortly after you moved to town and met Rhea. Emma asked me for advice, and when the time comes, she wants me to help you get your hormones." Emma swore me into silence. She asked me not to tell anyone about you, that includes Rhea. I have always been a supporter of LGBTQ+ kids and teens, and I have been eagerly waiting for you to come and to get started. I was happy that Rhea and you were getting along well together. I was hoping that one day if Rhea found out about you that she would be accepting, just like I raised her. Dr. Galloway looked down and shook her head a little. "But then I found out what she had done yesterday with Amanda, and I wonder what I did wrong when I raised her." Dr. Galloway's revelation hung in the air, casting a shadow over the moment. The weight of disappointment and concern was evident in her words. As the 3 of us stood in the hallway, absorbing the unexpected turn of events, I couldn't help but feel a mixture of emotions. I've always believed in supporting individuals in their journey of self-discovery and acceptance, Dr. Galloway continued. And it pains me to see that my own daughter has acted in a way contrary to those values. Amanda, I want to assure you that you have my full support, no matter what my daughter says or does, and I am so sorry for the hurt that Rhea did to you. Emily, I did not tell Rhea about you, it's our secret that is for you to tell or not to tell. But I am thankful that you have someone like Amanda and Brittany who cares deeply about you. I'm here to support you in any way I can. I just wish that my daughter could be like your 2 friends. Her words carried a genuine sincerity, and it was evident that Dr. Galloway was grappling with the complexities of her daughter's actions. The hallway became a space of vulnerability, where layers of family dynamics were exposed. Emily looked at both Brittany and I, and we both smiled at her. Sometimes, as parents, we find ourselves questioning if we did everything right, Dr. Galloway admitted, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. But all we can do is offer our love and support, and hope that our children find their way. I hope Rhea learns from this experience and grows into a more understanding person. So, 2 things are going to happen today. Dr. Galloway said. Emily, I have been monitoring your checkups. I was planning on starting this for you next time you came in for a checkup, but I think now is a good time for you to start your puberty blockers, which is the first step for you to start medically transitioning. I looked over to Emily. I don't know what puberty blockers are, but the way Emily was smiling I could tell they were a good thing. Second, Rhea is behind that door, I have her cleaning up in there as a punishment, I'm sure she has some words for you, Amanda. You three go ahead in there while I go get Emily's prescription." Without saying anything further, Dr. Galloway walked down the hall from the way we came in, leaving us alone in the hallway. Brittany looked at both Emily and I and then opened the door to the staff room. The room beyond revealed a solemn-looking Rhea. Around her was a pile of broken ceiling tiles that lay on the floor. Above her was a massive hole in the ceiling. This must have been where the raccoon had come in. Rhea glanced up as the door opened, her expression a mix of surprise and frustration. She quickly composed herself, standing up and dusting off her hands. "Great, just what I needed," Rhea muttered, avoiding direct eye contact. "Look, I didn't ask for this cleanup duty, and I don't need an audience." Brittany, Emily, and I exchanged glances, unsure of how to proceed in this unexpected situation. The room felt charged with unspoken tension, and the broken tiles seemed to symbolize the cracks in the relationships that needed addressing. Seeing Rhea like this, her hair was messed up, she was wearing old baggy clothes, and she looked nothing like the girl I knew to hate for the past year. I carefully walked into the break room and grabbed a trash bag from the roll and bent down and grabbed a piece of ceiling tile from the floor. I wished that I was wearing jeans like the other girls in the room and not a dress. Dresses are not the best thing to wear while cleaning ceiling tiles. As I picked up a piece of the broken ceiling tile, I couldn't help but notice the vulnerability in Rhea's demeanor. Her usual confident and assertive presence had been replaced by someone who seemed worn down by the weight of the situation. "I didn't expect to see you here," Rhea muttered, not meeting my eyes. "Yeah, well, unexpected things happen," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. Brittany and Emily joined in, each grabbing a trash bag and helping with the cleanup. The room was filled with a tense silence, broken only by the occasional sound of the broken tiles being gathered. After a few minutes, Emily spoke up, her voice calm but firm. "Rhea, we need to talk." Rhea sighed, finally looking up and meeting Emily's gaze. "I know, okay? I messed up. Big time. And I get it if you all hate me now." "It's not about hate," Brittany chimed in, "but we do need to understand why you did what you did. Amanda deserves an explanation." Rhea glanced at me, her eyes reflecting a mix of regret and guilt. "Look, I was just angry, okay? Angry at the situation, angry at myself, and it all just boiled over. I took it out on you, Amanda, and I shouldn't have. Seeing you in Easter Princess last year broke me a little, I got jealous and angry. I spent the whole year getting ready for my time to shine as the Easter Princess and then just like that it was gone, and you were the one wearing the tiara. I'm the one that went into the backstage area, I'm the one who found your ID in your book bag, and I'm the one who ignored Emily when she begged me to stop what I was doing." Rhea stopped for a moment, and then with a weak voice she added, "I am also the one who tried to blackmail you into making me Easter Princess, and I am the one who told everyone that you were really a boy." I continued cleaning up, processing Rhea's words. It was clear she was struggling with her own emotions, and the broken ceiling tiles were symbolic of the shattered dynamics between us. Emily, however, didn't let the explanation slide easily. "Anger is not an excuse for hurting someone else. You need to think about the consequences of your actions. Amanda doesn't deserve to be treated that way." Rhea nodded, her expression somber. "I know! And I'm sorry, Amanda. I messed up big time, and I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know that I regret what I did." I looked at Rhea, and for the first time, I saw her as more than just the antagonist in my story. She was a person, flawed and struggling, much like everyone else. The room, once filled with tension, now held a fragile moment of honesty. "Look, my mom made me read a book about transgender people yesterday after what had happened. I don't know if you're transgender, if you are I promise I'll accept you as the girl you are, if you're not, then I'll take the lead on whatever you tell me to call you." "I'm not trans," I said looking at her. "Last year I cut a girl's hair in my class's hair as a bet with my friends, my punishment was that I had to be a girl for the whole trip, including going to the Easter Princess contest. This year I just went as a girl because Brittany asked me to be a girl for her birthday party, and then I lost a bet and became a girl for the whole trip. I'm not excusing what I did, Amanda. It was wrong, and I should have known better. I let my own insecurities get the best of me, Rhea admitted, her voice softer now. I'm truly sorry for the pain I caused you. Both Brittany and Emily watched me, as they wondered what I was going to do next. Was I going to scope to Rhea's level and be mean to her? Or was I going to accept her apology and hope that Rhea is sincere? This is the same girl that has picked on me since even before she met me. From the time that I saw her at Mall's shoe store last year when she told Emily she could easily beat me because I'm a tomboy, to when she found my ID and tried to get Brittany not to be friends with me, to this year when she told everyone that I am really a boy. Did I really want to accept her apology? I'll accept your apology, I said quietly, surprising even myself. But it's going to take time to rebuild trust. I don't know if forgiveness is something that comes easy, I admitted, but I'm willing to try to move past this, Rhea. We can't change what happened, but we can decide how we move forward. Rhea nodded, her eyes showing a mix of regret and determination. I appreciate that, Amanda. I know I messed up, and I'm going to do my best to make amends. Just then, Dr. Galloway returned with a prescription in hand. She observed the scene in the break room and could sense the shift in dynamics. Looks like you've all been working hard in here, she commented, her gaze shifting between Rhea and me. Amanda, I hope you understand that Rhea is genuinely sorry for her actions. I nodded, acknowledging the apology. Dr. Galloway then turned to Rhea, her expression stern yet compassionate. Rhea, it's time for you to learn from this experience and grow. Apologize, make amends, and strive to be the person I raised you to be. Rhea nodded in response, and with a newfound understanding, we continued cleaning up the room together. The broken tiles were slowly gathered, symbolic of the gradual healing process that needed to take place. After a half hour of helping Rhea clean the staff room together and making small talk, Mom and Dad found up and told Brittany, Emily, and I that it was time to get going. As I began to walk away, Rhea stopped me and held out her hand to me. I hope next time you come back here we can talk and try to rebuild more, Rhea said sincerely. I hesitated for a moment, then shook her hand. Yeah, me too. It was a small step, but it felt like the beginning of a tentative understanding between us. As we left the medical center and headed back to the car, I couldn't help but reflect on the unexpected turn of events. The weekend in Missouri had started with laughter, camaraderie, and the anticipation of goodbyes. However, it had unfolded into a journey of self-discovery, acceptance, and the complexities of human relationships. This time Dad followed Emily's instructions to get back to her house. Emily and I both jumped out of the car, and I grabbed her suitcase from the trunk. I didn't know what to say to her, all the words seemed to escape me. Then suddenly she hugged me. I hope I get to see you next year, she said once she released me. Me too, I admitted. And I hope that you will at least consider being Amanda next time too. Trust me, it's more fun to be on vacation as a girl, rather than a boring old boy. We both laughed and I hugged her again. I'll think about it, I said. Emily pulled away from me and took her suitcase. She walked up to her house where her mother Bridget was waiting for her. I got back into the car and as we drove away, Emily waved at us from her porch. Dad drove us through the town and hit the 2-lane highway as he drove to the neighboring town where Brittany lives. So, are you going to do it? Brittany asked, breaking the silence. Do what? I asked. Are you going to be Amanda next year? She asked. I shrugged my shoulders. I don't know yet, I admitted. I guess we will see. Dad slowed the car down once we got to the city limits of Brittany's town. Brittany grabbed my hand and squeezed it, and I squeezed it back. Call me as soon as you get back to Indianapolis, she said. I will. I promised. Dad pulled the car up to Brittany's house and we both got out. Abby, Brittany's mom, stood on the front porch of her house and next to her was my suitcase of boys' clothes. It seemed so long ago that I had left it here after the bet with Brittany. Brittany hugged me as tight as she could, and I could see her start to cry a little. I'll see you next year, I whispered. And don't worry, next year I'll help you be the Easter Junior Queen, I promise." Brittany smiled a little. "The only question is, are you going to be competing with me or competing to be my junior king? I guess we will find out, won't we?" I said, smiling. Abby put her hand on her daughter's shoulder and Brittany started to walk back to her house with her mother. "Bye, Amanda," she said. "Bye," I replied. I got back into the car and watched as long as I could until we turned off at Brittany's road and her house was out of view. We are now headed back to Indianapolis, and soon, I'll be back to being Adam. A boy who now owns his own dress, ballet leotard, and has two amazing friends that can't wait to see him next year.